Lesson 4.2, where we're going to be using the intercepts to help us graph our linear equations. So we first need to talk about what does intercepts mean. Well, the y-intercept is the y-coordinate of the point or the ordered pair. So the y-coordinate of that ordered pair, that point, where the graph intersects the y-axis. So when they're asking you for the y-intercept, you're giving them the y value of that point where the line is crossing the y-axis. And the x-coordinate of this point will always be, all the points on the y-axis have an x value of 0. So when we're talking about the y-intercept, we should have ordered pair 0, y, some y value. Should always start with a 0. Okay, and the x-intercept. The x-intercept is the x-coordinate of the point, so again, the ordered pair, that point where the graph crosses the x-axis. So where the line is crossing the x-axis, all the points on the x-axis, the y-coordinate of this point is always 0. So again, we can count on every time we have an x-intercept, the x value is what we're looking for. What's the x value where it's crossing the x-axis? The y value will always be 0. Okay, so when we're talking about finding the intercepts, we really only need 2 points to graph a line. So when we use this method, we just find those 2 points to help us graph the line. But we're going to start out first with, instead of graphing, we're going to start with graphs that we already have, and we're going to just practice identifying, finding those intercepts. So where does the graph cross the y-axis at? It's crossing right here, and what is that one's ordered pair name? It is 0, and it's up 2, so it's ordered pair 0, 2. So 0, 2. So that makes the y-intercept then. Remember, the y-intercept is the y-coordinate of that point, so the y-intercept is 2. Where is the graph crossing the x-axis? It's crossing over here, and this is ordered pair -3, 0. So the x-intercept, its ordered pair name is -3, 0. The x-intercept itself, the x value, where it crosses the x-axis, the line crosses the x-axis, is -3. So when we're identifying it from a graph, basically it's just being able to make sure that we can name those ordered pairs correctly so we get the correct y value for the y-intercept, the correct x value for the x-intercept. Well, let's just practice here now solving for them algebraically. What if we don't have the graph? So we have -3x plus 5y equals 30. We could say that is in standard form, somewhat. Typically we like remember a value to be a counting number, a positive integer. It's -3, but we're not going to sweat that. So to find the x-intercept, remember, for on the x-intercept, the y value is always 0. So we're going to replace the y with 0, and we're going to solve that equation for x. So we're going to have -3x plus 5 times 0 equals 30. Well, this, 5 times 0, that's 0. So we're going to have -3x equals 30. So we're going to get the x alone by dividing both sides by -3. And we're going to get an x value of -10. This is our x intercept. So if we were going to graph this one of our points would go at -10 on the x-axis. Okay, to find the y-intercept for the same equation, or any equation for that matter, in linear equation for that matter, to find the y-intercept, you're going to replace, remember this time, it's the x value that's going to be 0, so we'll replace the x with 0, and we'll solve the equation for y this time because we're looking for the y-intercept. So we're going to put 0 in for x and solve this equation for y. This is going to become 0. 0 added to our 5y. We can just say it's 5y equals 30. Now we'll divide both sides by 5 to get that y alone. And we will see that our y value is 6, which means our y-intercept is 6. Another point to help us graph this equation would go at +6 on the y-axis. We have 2 points to draw our line through. So finding them algebraically. The one you're looking for, replace the other variable with 0. Okay, let's go to the back side, where I believe we are going to be doing both now. This is probably, when the linear equation is in standard form, this is the most efficient way to graph a linear equation. We have, so far, really the only ways we've used is using a table, making a table to help us get points. And now we're learning, you know what, if it's in standard form like this, those intercepts aren't too hard to find, and we only need to find 2 points then to help us graph it. So let's find the x-intercept first. So remember, when we are looking for the x-intercept, we're going to replace the y with 0 and solve the equation for x. So that's going to be gone. We're going to have 2x equals 4. So we have 2x divided by 2, 4 divided by 2. We end up with x equals, we'll go over here, x equals 2. Or in other words, the ordered pair name for our x-intercept is ordered pair 2, 0. So let's just go over to our graph and let's put that point on right away. So on the x-axis, at +2, we'll graph a point. Okay, now let's do our y-intercept. So in our y-intercept, we're going to put 0 in for the x. So it's 2 times 0 minus y equals 4. So we're going to cross that out. That subtraction sign now becomes a negative sign on our y. Negative y is not good. We need to get rid of that negative sign, so we will divide both sides by -1, because that's really a -1 in front of that y. Y is being multiplied by a -1. And we will have y equals 4 divided by -1. Positive divided by a negative is a negative. 4 divided by 1 is 4. So we end up with a -4 for our y-intercept. So we'll go to the y-axis now, and we'll put a point at -4 on it. And now you will take a straight edge. So if you haven't got the straight edges passed out to you yet, maybe, or the rulers passed out to you to use as a straight edge, maybe now it's a good time to pause this and get those so that you can have that to draw a nice line. We're not going to freehand this. So with your straight edge, you're going to draw a line through those 2 points. I'll see how well I can do it with the smartboard tool. Not very good. Okay, let's try it again. That's better. And it should go through the coordinate plane with arrows at both ends showing that this is really a continuous graph with an infinite number of points on it. We just used 2 points to get our graph. Okay. A lot less painful than having to make a table, isn't it? Okay, so let's move on to number 4 here. In number 4, we have 1/3 x minus 1/4 y equals 2. Okay, doesn't look like I gave us any room to make that a better named equation. Like we could rename it so it would have an integer a value. So let's just work with it as it is, see how well this goes for us. Okay, so we're going to, when we have the x-intercept, remember the y is 0, so we have 1/3 x. Take away 1/4 times 0, and then equals 2. So our 1/4 times 0, that's 0, that can be ditched. And we'll have 1/3 x equals 2. Reminder, when a variable is being multiplied by a fraction, we can undo multiplying by that fraction by multiplying by its reciprocal. So we'll take both sides of this times 3 over 1. On the other side, we really don't need to make it 3 over 1. We can just have it as 3. And we're going to have these cancel. We have x by itself now. X equals whatever 3 times 2 is, that is 6. So our ordered pair name for the x-intercept is ordered pair 6, 0. So we'll go over on the x-axis to positive 6 and plot a point. And now we'll do our y-intercept. Okay, so we have, for our y-intercept, again, remember the x value is the 0, so we have 1/3 times 0. Take away 1/4 y equals 2. So that can be canceled out. We have negative 1/4 y. That subtraction sign now becomes a negative sign. Okay, again, we have a fraction that y is being multiplied by. Undo multiplying that by that fraction of 1/4 by multiplying by its reciprocal. Its reciprocal is negative also, and 4 over 1. So negative 4 over 1 times negative 1/4 y. On the other side, we can just treat it as negative 4 times 2. So again, a negative times a negative is a positive. Those cancel, these cancel. We have just y now by itself. And negative 4 times 2. Negative times a positive is a negative. 4 times 2, 8. So our y-intercept, its ordered pair name, is 0, negative 8. So we're going to go to negative 8 on the y-axis and plot ourselves a point. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's my negative 8 right there. Okay, and again, we're going to draw a line going through those points and show that it is continuous by not just stopping at the points, but going through our coordinate plane and putting arrows at both ends of our line, showing it goes on continuously forever. Okay, so that is graphing using the x and y intercepts, or being able to find them algebraically. We did that to help us be able to graph them. And we also just in the beginning started with how can we just find them from a graph. Okay, that's what you'll be doing today with this lesson. Good luck.